We went back and asked, can we have a quote for replacement battery? And that's when I got the shock. The cost was $17,000 including tax. I almost fell down. The battery was originally warranted for 8 years, and in a new car, why wouldn't it be warranted for a similar period?
Every industry has growing pains, and the world of electric vehicles is no different. While many people focus on the incredible advancements in EV technology, the truth is that the early years of electric mobility were filled with challenges, especially when it came to batteries. Battery packs are the beating heart of every EV, determining not just range, but also safety, performance, and long-term reliability. Yet, some models struggled to deliver on promises, leading to recalls, frustrated owners, and hefty repair bills. That doesn't mean EVs are unreliable. Modern batteries are remarkably durable, with most lasting well over a decade. But there are specific models and cases where things went wrong, and those failures left a permanent mark on consumer trust. Today, we're diving deep into 12 electric vehicles whose batteries earned a reputation for not living up to expectations, sometimes not even lasting 5 years. By exploring these examples, we'll understand why they failed, what lessons were learned, and how the industry has adapted. Number 12. Hyundai Kona Electric. The Hyundai Kona Electric burst onto the EV scene as a promising blend of affordability, solid driving range, and everyday practicality. For many buyers, it seemed like the perfect entry into the electric world. That excitement didn't last long. Reports began to circulate of battery fires occurring without warning, and the unsettling part was that many of these cars weren't even charging at the time. Imagine parking your brand new EV only to hear the next morning that it had gone up in flames overnight. Hyundai responded by initiating one of the largest EV recalls ever seen, swapping out entire battery packs in thousands of vehicles across multiple markets. Investigations later pointed the finger at manufacturing defects in battery cells produced by LG Chem. While this addressed the immediate danger, repairing consumer confidence proved much more complicated. The Kona, once celebrated, became the unfortunate symbol of how quickly things can go wrong when battery technology isn't flawless. The scandal made one thing clear: building an EV isn't just about flashy features or extended range. It's about making sure that the heart of the car, the battery, is safe, durable, and tested to withstand real-world conditions. Number 11. Nissan Leaf. The Nissan Leaf holds a special spot in EV history, being one of the first affordable options to put thousands of drivers behind the wheel of an electric car. But the early excitement hit some rough roads when owners began noticing shrinking range after only a few years. The culprit wasn't bad luck. It was the lack of an effective cooling system for the battery pack. Unlike rivals that adopted liquid cooling to regulate temperature, the Leaf relied on a simpler, passive system. This might have saved money initially, but in hotter regions, it turned into a nightmare. Owners in places like Arizona saw battery capacity drop dramatically, sometimes losing a third of their range in just a few summers. Cold weather wasn't much friendlier either. During harsh winters, range would nosedive, leaving drivers recalculating every trip with extra anxiety. Though modern Leafs are better equipped, those early models carved out a reputation that lingered. They served as a reminder that climate resilience isn't just about the car's air conditioning or heater. It's about whether the battery can survive the seasons without turning daily commutes into stressful math problems. Number 10. Ford Fusion Energi. Plug-in hybrids promise flexibility, enough electric miles for short trips, and a gasoline engine for longer drives. On paper, It's a perfect compromise. The Ford Fusion Energi offered exactly that, until its batteries started causing headaches. While full-on failures weren't widespread, when they did occur, owners discovered a financial shock that rivaled a luxury car bill. A single replacement battery pack for the Fusion Energi was documented at more than $12,000. For a family sedan, that's the kind of cost that makes people wonder if keeping the car even makes sense. The sting wasn't just the price, it was the realization that a seemingly practical plug-in could carry such an unpredictable risk. This situation highlighted a broader issue for the EV and hybrid market. Reliability is only half the equation. Long-term affordability matters just as much. While many automakers have since extended warranties and sought ways to lower battery replacement expenses, the Fusion Energi showed how unprepared the industry once was to handle failures. For owners caught in the middle, it turned what was supposed to be an eco-friendly upgrade into a very expensive lesson. Number 9. Toyota BZ4X. Toyota's long-awaited leap into the electric world came with the BZ4X, and fans expected nothing short of brilliance. Instead, what they got was a rocky start that left early adopters scratching their heads. The biggest complaint wasn't about design or comfort, it was about charging. Reports quickly spread that the BZ4X struggled with painfully slow charging speeds, especially when temperatures dropped. For drivers hoping to hit the open road, this was more than a mild inconvenience. On long trips, where fast charging is the lifeline of an EV, the sluggish performance became a deal-breaker. While rivals were delivering impressive charging times, Toyota's newcomer felt outdated right out of the gate. The problem wasn't dangerous, but it was damaging to Toyota's image. Usability is everything in the EV space, and consumers expect more than just a safe battery. They want speed, convenience, and reliability rolled into one. The BZ4X proved that even small missteps in charging performance can leave a lasting dent in consumer confidence, especially when expectations are sky-high. Number 8. Lexus RZ. When Lexus rolled out the RZ, the promise was simple: a luxury EV that carried the brand's trademark comfort and refinement into the electric age. But for many early buyers, the excitement dimmed once they discovered the SUV's less-than-stellar charging abilities. Slow charging, particularly in real-world conditions, turned into the weak link in what was supposed to be a premium package. For a luxury badge, the expectations are uncompromising. Customers don't just want leather seats and a quiet cabin. They want technology that feels a step ahead of the curve. Unfortunately, the RZ's charging setbacks made it seem like Lexus was still playing catch-up. Even though the vehicle delivered on refinement and quality, the charging flaws overshadowed those strengths. This stumble showed that prestige alone isn't enough to win in the EV market. A premium EV has to deliver premium performance across every aspect, especially when it comes to the battery. The RZ ended up reminding the industry that reputation doesn't automatically translate into technical mastery. Number 7. Chevrolet Bolt EV. The Chevrolet Bolt was GM's big play to make electric cars affordable and accessible. And at first, it looked like a success story in the making. Then came the nightmare: reports of battery fires. The root cause was traced to defective cells from LG Chem, the same supplier involved in other EV fire scandals. What followed was one of the largest recalls in EV history. GM recalled every single Bolt ever produced, an extraordinary and expensive decision. Owners were warned not to charge overnight and, in some cases, not to park inside garages until repairs were completed. For a car meant to inspire confidence in EV ownership, this was about the worst possible scenario. The recall eventually fixed the technical problem, but the damage to the Bolt's reputation was permanent. For many consumers, the car became a cautionary tale rather than a success story. The episode underscored how supplier issues can ripple through the entire industry, showing just how fragile trust can be when safety is compromised. Number 6. BMW i3. When BMW launched the i3, it looked like something straight out of a design studio that decided the future should be quirky, compact, and wrapped in carbon fiber. The lightweight body and sustainable materials were genuinely ahead of their time, but the battery was not quite as futuristic. Early models came with modest capacity, which left drivers with a range that felt underwhelming, especially as competitors started pushing boundaries. The i3 didn't have widespread failures, but it did face a different problem: obsolescence. Within only a few years, other brands were doubling the driving range, making the i3 seem dated almost overnight. For owners, this wasn't just about pride, it was about practicality. Suddenly, the car that once felt modern was fallen behind in everyday usability. Another hurdle came when batteries needed replacing or upgrading. Costs were eye-watering, and some modules weren't easy to source, which meant long waits or serious bills. The i3 stands as a reminder that being an early innovator comes with trade-offs. It showcased bold design and forward-thinking engineering, but the battery limitations made sure it didn't age as gracefully as BMW might have hoped. Number 5. Fiat 500e. The Fiat 500e looked like a stylish city runabout, but behind its cheerful design was a very different story. This car wasn't created to conquer the EV market, it was built to satisfy California's emissions rules. That meant investment in battery technology wasn't top of the priority list, and it showed. Owners quickly realized the 500e offered a limited range that kept road trips completely off the table. Day-to-day commuting was manageable, but the battery quirks didn't inspire confidence. Replacement parts, when needed, often came with sticker shock or availability issues. In some cases, getting the right components felt more like a treasure hunt than standard maintenance. The 500e never became a mainstream choice, and that was by design. Fiat didn't push it hard or invest in making it a long-term player in the EV world. Instead, it became something of a cult curiosity, fun to drive in the city, but not exactly built for the long haul. It's remembered less as a serious EV and more as a regulatory checkbox with wheels. Number 4. Mitsubishi i-MiEV. The Mitsubishi i-MiEV was one of the very first electric cars to be sold on a global scale, and at the time, it seemed like a daring step into the future. Small, lightweight, and simple, it was clearly aimed at urban driving. The problem was that its tiny battery pack gave it a range that already felt restrictive, and things only got worse with age. Many owners reported noticeable capacity loss after just a few years of use. For a car that already struggled to stretch beyond city limits, losing even a small percentage of range was a big blow. Long-term usability became a challenge, and drivers often found themselves recalculating routes just to get around town comfortably. Despite its shortcomings, the i-MiEV played an important role as a stepping stone in EV history. It proved that electric cars could be mass-produced and sold worldwide, even if they weren't yet practical for everyone. In hindsight, it feels like a prototype that somehow ended up in showrooms, paving the way for the more capable EVs that followed. Number 3. Tesla Model S, early models. When Tesla unveiled the Model S, it redefined what an electric car could be. Sleek styling, blistering acceleration, and usable range made it a dream machine for many. But the earliest versions also came with some headaches that owners didn't expect. Reports surfaced of drive unit replacements, sometimes more than once, as components struggled to keep up with real-world use. For a car that promised cutting-edge engineering, those trips back to the service center left some buyers questioning durability. Battery performance also became a talking point. While not a widespread disaster, certain owners noticed faster-than-expected degradation, raising concerns about long-term reliability. Add to that the looming cost of battery replacement, tens of thousands of dollars if the warranty didn't cover it, and the risks of second-hand ownership became clear. To its credit, Tesla rolled out over-the-air software updates to improve management systems and offered generous warranty repairs. Still, the early Model S years highlighted the risks of being among the first to adopt groundbreaking technology. For all its brilliance, the car served as both a showcase of potential and a reminder that innovation often arrives with growing pains. Number 2. Jaguar I-Pace. The Jaguar I-Pace entered the market with high expectations. As Jaguar's first all-electric SUV, it won awards for design and performance, and many praised its handling. Yet real-world ownership painted a more complicated picture. Drivers noticed that charging speeds often fell short of what the brochures promised, especially on longer journeys where rapid charging was crucial. Compounding the issue were software quirks that affected battery management. Some owners experienced problems with range estimates, while others dealt with glitches that required dealership visits. These weren't catastrophic breakdowns, but they chipped away at confidence in a car positioned as a luxury product. In a competitive field where rivals like Audi and Tesla were setting benchmarks for both speed and software reliability, the I-Pace's struggles stood out. Even though the car itself drove beautifully, the behind-the-scenes issues kept it from fully capitalizing on its potential. For Jaguar, it was proof that entering the EV space required more than design flair. It demanded charging efficiency and software refinement to match the promise of premium performance. Number 1. Honda Clarity Electric. The Honda Clarity Electric seemed like a cautious step into EV territory, but its limited range told a different story. With a battery pack offering less than 90 miles on a good day, it was already behind the curve when launched. For urban commuters, it worked, but anyone considering longer drives quickly discovered its limitations. Range degradation over time made matters worse. Owners reported noticeable drops after a few years, turning an already restricted car into something even less practical. Unlike other Clarity models, such as the plug-in hybrid, the pure electric version never had the flexibility to mask its shortcomings. The lack of competitiveness made the Clarity EV feel more like an experiment than a serious entry. Replacement parts and support weren't always straightforward either, reflecting the car's limited production run. Eventually, Honda quietly discontinued the model, focusing instead on hybrids and fuel cell technology. The Clarity Electric is remembered today as a placeholder, a car that showed Honda wasn't ignoring electrification, but also wasn't ready to commit fully. For drivers, It served as a reminder that a well-built car can still fail if the battery can't deliver on practicality. Why these batteries struggled. Looking back at the first wave of electric cars, many of the problems stemmed from being early in the game. The 2010s marked a period when EV battery technology was still finding its footing, and it showed. Models like the BMW i3 or Mitsubishi i-MiEV arrived with small packs that degraded faster than expected, while others, such as the Nissan Leaf, exposed how much climate could affect performance. Without proper thermal management, batteries in hot or cold regions lost capacity at alarming rates, leaving drivers frustrated with shrinking range. Supplier reliability was another hurdle. Hyundai's Kona Electric and GM's Chevrolet Bolt both faced massive recalls tied to cells produced by third-party suppliers. These incidents highlighted just how dependent automakers were on battery manufacturers and how a single flaw could ripple across thousands of vehicles. Even when batteries didn't fail outright, costs were intimidating. Cars like the Ford Fusion Energi shocked owners with replacement prices that felt out of line with family car budgets. Software and charging systems also played a bigger role than many expected. Toyota's BZ4X and Lexus RZ showed that slow charging speeds or glitchy management systems could hurt usability as much as hardware problems. In a market where convenience and performance define success, these shortcomings quickly tarnished reputations. The bigger picture. While these stories sound grim, they also belong to a different era. Today's EV batteries are proving to be remarkably durable. Research shows that more than 97% of EVs on the road still use their original packs, with failure rates below 1% for cars built after 2016. On average, degradation sits at around 1.8% per year, which means most owners can expect well over a decade of reliable service before range loss becomes a major concern. Manufacturers have also stepped up protections, with warranties commonly stretching to 8 years or 100,000 miles. This not only shields buyers from unexpected expenses, but also signals confidence in the technology itself. The hard lessons learned from early missteps, whether in thermal management, supplier oversight, or charging performance, have shaped today's far more resilient designs. In short, the rocky beginnings of EV batteries helped pave the way for a much stronger, more dependable generation. What once felt like an experiment is now a technology entering maturity, offering confidence that wasn't always guaranteed in the past. Battery failures may grab headlines, but the reality is that modern EVs are far more reliable than many skeptics assume. Still, the lessons from these 12 vehicles remind us that early adopters often carry the weight of experimentation. From fire-prone packs to painfully slow charging, these cases shaped the EV industry into what it is today: safer, more efficient, and more dependable. What do you think? Would you risk buying one of these older EVs? Or do these stories make you want to stick with newer models? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you found this deep dive useful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on the fast-changing world of electric vehicles.